Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Haribo, Jaya Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Padavrajak Acharya Astar Sri Shivan. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Udita Ananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajarupa Namanam Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Lachal Jagannath Pur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shmati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. The most beautiful lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihan Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Haribo. All glories to the Assembly devotees. All glories to the Assembly devotees. All glories to the Assembly devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glory to the Prabhupada. I left my glasses in my jacket. It's in the right pocket. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Rotamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tojayamatirya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatittama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God, whose worship of transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 21. And today we will do two verses. 29 doesn't have a purport, so I'll read that by myself, and then we'll do 30 responsibly. Yatta atma britang viryam navadha prashavishyati virye tvadiye rishaya adhasyantyan chasat manaha. So, translation. She, meaning Devahuti, will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you, and through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children. So then 30. Twang cha samyak anushtaya nideshang mahusattamaha mayitirti katashesha kriyarto mang papatsyase. Twang cha samyak anushtaya nideshang mahusattamaha mayitirti katashesha kriyarto mam papatsyase. Twang cha samyak anushtaya nideshang ma ushattamaha mayitirti katashesha kriyarto mang papatsyase. Please chant. Vaishnavis. You already chanted, Maharaj. Yeah, you did. No problem. Only because of the time factor. So, synonyms. Tvam, you, cha, and, samyak, properly, anushtaya, having carried out, nidesham, command, me, my, ushattamaha, completely cleansed, my, unto me, tirtikrita, having resigned, ashesha, all, kriya, of actions, artaha, the fruits, mam, to me, papatsyase, you will attain. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me. Please repeat. With your heart cleansed, by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Here the words Tirti, Krita, Shesha, Kriyartaha are significant. Tirtha means a sanctified place where charity is given. People used to go to places of pilgrimage and give munificently in charity. This system is still current. Therefore, the Lord said, quote, in order to sanctify your activities and the results of your actions, you will offer everything unto me, end of quote. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, quote, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice, the result should be given to me only, end of quote. In another place in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said, quote, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices, all penances, and everything done for the welfare of mankind or society, end of quote. All activities, therefore, whether for the welfare of family, society, country, or humanity at large, must be performed in Krishna consciousness. That is the instruction given by the Lord to Kardama Muni. Maharaj Yudhishthira welcomed Narada Muni, quote, wherever you are present, that place becomes sanctified because the Lord himself is always seated in your heart, end of quote. Similarly, if we act in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Lord and his representative, then everything is sanctified. This is the indication given to Kardama Muni, who acted on it and therefore received the most excellent wife and child, as will be disclosed in later verses. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschachadeshtarne Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishang Shapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyahang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishavangsha Shri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhume Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 So for many years I used to travel in former Yugoslavia. I haven't been there in a while, since 2018, I think, 2019. And in the Serbo-Croatian language, our Prem Sankirtan knows very well, people greet each other, they say, Šta ima novo? What's new? Just like in Spanish you would say, ¿Qué pasa? What's happening? But they say, Šta ima novo? What's new? What's new in your life? And we always like to know because we don't know what's coming in the future. We don't know. Generally speaking, we don't know. Even if we get some astrology done, we still don't know details. So here the Lord has come to see Kardama Muni personally, and he's telling him exactly what's going to happen. He didn't ask him what's new. He said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And he told him, you're going to marry this princess, you're going to have 9 daughters, and then after that you're going to have me as your son. So it's all mapped out. Because this is the Lord's plan, obviously. But in one sense, isn't everything the Lord's plan? Some people wouldn't agree with that. You mean when I trip out on the sidewalk and smash my nose, that's the Lord's plan? Or when some comet smashes into the earth and wipes out half the life forms on the earth, that's the Lord's plan? Yes, yes. But the Supreme Lord Krishna doesn't get directly involved in all of that. He has his agents to take care. Just like when somebody gets arrested for shoplifting or assault or something, it's under the direction of the President of the United States. It's part of his responsibility to see that the citizens are safe, but he's not directly involved. He doesn't have to come and follow every policeman and tell him exactly, okay, grab him now. No, so Krishna is eternally enjoying in this Goloka Vrindavan, but through his agents, including those that are in the material world, the demigods and their agents, everything is going on under his direction. Everything is going on under his. Nothing is happening that he's not aware of, and if he doesn't sanction, upadrasta anumantascha. He's the overseer and the permitter, stated in the 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is overseeing everything, and by his permission, everything is going on. So here, he's fulfilling the desire of the sage, which in turn sets off a chain of activity that he's mentioning here. You will have 9 daughters, they will be married to sages who will beget through them other children, and then ultimately you will have me as your son. And through that son, wonderful philosophy will be disseminated for the benefit of everybody. This is the purpose of philosophy. It's not meant to just make a show of knowledge. Because as we've stated many, many times, there are a lot of personalities who don't even believe there is a supreme personality. Even if they mention his name, Krishna or Rama, they think there's some unmanifest, impersonal, spiritual energy that's actually the ultimate source of everything, including the Krishna and the Rama and everything like that. They don't actually believe. But they know. They can practically recite the Ramayana by heart, or the Bhagavad Gita by heart, or like that. But they don't accept the conclusion. They don't accept even the speaker. Because if you accept that Krishna is the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, then you have to accept what Krishna says about himself there. Krishna says, Pitaham asya jagata. I am the father of the entire universe. Mata, Data, Pitamaha. Not just father, but I'm also the mother. I'm the sustainer. I'm the great grandsire. So Krishna is stating clearly in Bhagavad Gita what his position is. But people read Bhagavad Gita, they even memorize Bhagavad Gita, but they don't accept Krishna. What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of foolishness is that? So Prabhupada reminds us over and over again, what I'm teaching you is not armchair philosophy. It's not for you to just sit down and discuss, casually, or even memorize and think that you know, but you don't actually know. First thing to remember is that you're in this material world, and it's, especially in Kali Yuga, it becomes evident, it's a vicious place. It's not a place to make plans for enjoyment. It's completely bewildering, to me anyway, how as pure, eternal, spiritual parts and process of Krishna, which means we have qualities of Krishna, compassion, and we love to enjoy, and everything is wonderful in our original position in the spiritual world. But when we come here, we become so covered over that we daily engage in vicious activities, consciously or unconsciously. From the minuscule, like somebody so full of envy and anger, they go into a parking lot and they take their key and they just scratch randomly people's cars. I have a Tesla, so I was reading some Tesla news one day, and the Teslas have cameras all around. So one Tesla owner was in a shopping store, and he was just reviewing his cameras, just happened to look, because the car, actually, the car alerts you when something is happening. So the car alerted him and looked, some guy was going down the side of his car scratching like that. So he looked carefully, he saw the guy, and he came out, and the guy saw him coming, and the guy ran and jumped in his car. So the one whose car was scratched, he jumped in his car and blocked him from leaving and called the police, and they arrested him. And lo and behold, he had done that to many cars in the parking lot. So they asked him why, and he confessed. He owned a repair shop, and he wanted to get the business. This is how vicious people are. Can't wait for an accident to happen so you get some business. So he went out and made business by scratching people's cars so they would come to his repair shop, hopefully, and get the car repainted. So this is how, from minor things like that, that's pretty minor, to murderous invasions of your neighboring country and killing hundreds of thousands of people. How can a pure living entity fall into such a covered condition that they actually get up every day and plan to kill somebody else. So that's why the first lesson of the Bhagavad Gita is, you're not this body, you're an eternal spiritual soul. You cannot be killed, you cannot be burned by fire, you cannot be withered by the wind, you cannot be wet by water. Nothing can harm you, nothing. So when you realize that nothing can harm you, then you become actually fearless, and you become a well-wisher of everybody. Because we're all going through this cycle of birth, which is followed by growth, maintenance, sustenance, then dwindling, and then death. If you're lucky. Most people don't make it to the dwindling part, because again, somebody wakes up one day and makes a plan to kill them. So how is that possible? That's how powerful Krishna's material energy is, and that's why Prabhupada said, I noticed that my disciples, followers, are not sufficiently afraid of Maya. We don't understand the precarious position that we're in. The inevitable or the inevitability of death. Every day, so many people are dying, humans, animals, insects, by accident, by design. Everyone is dying, including those of us who are following the spiritual path, which is, again, bewildering to some people, because they think if you're an advanced spiritualist, pure spiritualist, then you shouldn't die. You should just one day just float up in the sky and go back to heaven, just like that. No, but this material body is planned obsolescence. It's going to stop working at some point. Recently, our God sister, I asked several devotees this morning, not even aware, and Jagadachari passed away a couple of days ago. She became obviously famous as a proper disciple, but part of her fame was because of her son, Raghunath. Because when she joined the movement, she already had a small son, and you'll see many pictures when Prabhupada is sitting on the Vyasa here and handing out cookies. He was one of the older children, but he was eligible to get cookies. And those of us who were too old, one day I'll show you on the screen here, because I've found some of these pictures with Prabhupada sitting, and I'm standing on this side of the Vyasa, looking very enviously at the children getting cookies, because Prabhupada wasn't giving cookies to the older disciples, just to the young kids. So there's one particular picture where myself and Ridananda Maharaj were looking very enviously at those kids. Once in a while, if you're lucky as an adult, you got a crumb, but the majority of the cookies were handed out to the kids. So yes, all of us are going to go, and we have to be ready for that. So that's one of the main purposes of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to teach us the art of dying, how to be ready to go at any moment, because we don't always get warning. We don't always get warning. Yesterday, 1:47 p.m., I was chanting a late middle of the day Gayatri, and the whole building was shaking. Earthquake. Yes, right here. It was centered just off the coast of Malibu. And so everybody in Southern California felt it. It was only 4.2 or something like that. But it was I felt it very strongly in the BBT building, which is actually good, because these buildings in Southern California are built. I'm a simple engineer, so I understand the engineering behind it. They're built to shake with the ground. If the materials are too stiff, then they crack and they break. That's what happens a lot in Europe. A lot of these older stone masonry buildings, they can't withstand an earthquake because they're too stiff. And when the shaking comes, they just crumble and the stones fall on people's head, and a lot of people die. Even an earthquake that minor in a place like that would have caused some major damage and deaths probably, because those buildings were not built hundreds of years ago to withstand earthquakes the way modern buildings are. So our building, even though it was born in 52, it was, I say born, it was made in 52. I say born because I was born in 52, the same year as that building. That building was not made to modern earthquake standards, but it was built sufficiently earthquake resistant that it didn't fall, or nothing fell. Nothing even fell off the shelves in my place anyway. I don't know about your apartments and homes, but so it was pretty strong shake. Simultaneously in Hawaii, they had a 5.7 earthquake. Every time you go up the Richter scale, which is that scale that they report earthquakes on, every number jump is 10 times stronger. So 5 point something is stronger, 10 times stronger than a 4 point something. So we had a 4.2, which was, you could feel it. Did you feel it, Savas? Yeah. But in Hawaii, they had a 5.7, which is more than 10 times stronger than what we had here. And you keep going up. When you get to 6, it's very, very serious. When you get to 7, I think the highest they say they've ever recorded was like a 9.8. So you can just imagine the destruction that that would bring. So it's just a little minor reminder. Don't make, big plans for enjoying here, like the non-devotees do. Never satisfied. I have a 2020 car, but now it's 2024, I want a new car. It's not a necessity. The same 2020 car will take you to work and back or to the supermarket and back, but because they look for their happiness in material possessions. Generally, we look for our happiness in being controllers. We want to control others. The parents want to control the children, but the children are rebelling as soon as they can talk and walk. No! Sweetheart, come and do this. No! Because we also have built-in resistance to being controlled. That's why we're here. We don't want to be controlled. We don't want to be under even God's control, what to speak of somebody else's control. So the struggle goes on. The struggle for existence here is to control others and not be controlled yourself. That's why Brahma reminds us, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Yeah, you may assume a position of being a controller for some time, limited time, and that's not absolute because so many people are already plotting to get rid of you as soon as you become a controller of anything. A department in a business, or you become a mayor or a governor or a president, the plot is already there to get rid of you. No matter how good you are, or how good a job you do, somebody's already plotting to get rid of you. Because nobody wants to be controlled here in this material world, especially in Kali Yuga. But we should not be foolishly rebellious. If you're in a precarious situation and somebody's trying to save you, don't be foolishly rebellious. You're in a deep, dark well. The water is rising. Somebody throws you a rope. You don't ask them, are you a Christian or a Jew? Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you black or white? No, you don't ask any questions. You grab the rope and let them pull you out. But we're so foolish in the material world in Kali Yuga that even when people are trying to help us, when Krishna sends his representative to help us, to tell us what to do, what not to do, we can't accept. Or we accept a little bit. So we have to be reminded constantly that the process of bhakti yoga, of devotional service, is a process of surrender. It's not a process of do what I want to do, what I feel like doing. No, it's a process of surrender. And yes, that even includes our appearance. There's that famous case where one new person was asking Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, is it really so important to dress like, these people do, and the dhoti and all that? Prabhupada said it's not absolutely necessary, but if as a new person you can't even follow what the others are doing, then where's there any question of surrender? You join the movement and you don't even want to do what all the other devotees are already doing. Why not? See, we have this built-in resistance to any kind of, to being led in any way, even when we're being led to something good, built-in resistance. So we shouldn't be foolishly rebellious. We should know it's a process of surrender, and we should follow that path that's been chalked out by so many others that went before us. So in today's verse, Lord Vishnu is reminding Kardama Muni that he's followed nicely. He said, you've followed my instructions very nicely. Therefore, I'm telling you what's going to happen, and your future is bright. So for us, the process of following has been made very, very simple. Because in Kali Yuga, we don't have the brains to study so many volumes of literature, Vedic literature. We want to control others even though we're not qualified. So Rupa Goswami says, first of all, you control yourself. Control these 6 things. Vacho Vega, Manasa Koda Vega, Jiva Vega, Udarpasa Vega. Etan Begam Yo. Sarvam Itimam Pitubim Sasishat. If you can control these things, first of all, Bacho Begam, the urge to speak, which everybody has. We want to speak. We want to give the news. When somebody asks, Staya Manova, what's new? We want to tell them, even things that we don't really know, just to have something to say. So control that urge. Only speak what you've heard from authorities and you know is right. Bacho Vegam. Manasa, the mind. The mind is always pushing. Never still. Even for those who try to control the mind. When I was in New Zealand recently, I went to the Wellington, no, was it? No, it was not Wellington. Was it? What's that main city that we fly into? Auckland, yes. In Auckland, they have this love program. So Devamrita Swami was giving the lecture, and he mentioned how once when he was in Thailand, he met this Buddhist monk who had taken a vow of silence, and for 5 years, he sat outside a monastery and didn't speak a word to anyone. Mauna, Vrata, vow of silence. 5 years. He had met the monk, and the monk was telling him this story, true story. He had sat outside this monastery for 5 years, didn't speak to anyone. And then one day, a woman went by with a transistor radio, because it was long ago. It was before we have our, smartphones now. She had a transistor radio, and it was playing some silly love song. And he said, I started to cry. He said, I couldn't understand. For 5 years, I'm sitting here in complete silence, not interacting with anybody, not even speaking a word. And I hear this silly love song, and I start to cry. So he was genuinely asking Maharaj, why? Why would that happen? In other words, I'm trying so hard to control my senses, my mind, and this silly love song, something about loving some woman or something happens, and I start crying. Because you cannot empty your desire is part of the soul. You cannot stop desiring. It's not possible. Our method is to be trained how to desire properly, how to think properly, and then that leads to proper desires. So because his method was not practical, it's not practical. You cannot rid yourself of unwanted material desires just by being silent for 5 years. It doesn't work. The desire is still there. And just hearing that silly love song brought all of that emotion back up that he thought he had under control. So Vachavega Manasa, we have to control the mind. Don't try to control other people's minds. In other words, don't try to always tell other people how to think. You be trained how to think. That's what we're here for, to submit ourselves to Guru, to be trained how to think properly. And part of that training is don't try to control others. Krishna is in complete control. That was one of the last things Prabhupada said before he left this world. Krishna is in complete control. That is Krishna consciousness. In other words, meditate on Krishna's control. Don't meditate on trying to control others, because it doesn't work. The parents know, in spite of all their efforts, the child still grows up to be independent, think whichever way they want. And even if apparently they're not, like in my case, I was a very obedient son, but inside I had all my own ideas, and when they weren't looking, I was doing my own thing. So you cannot control somebody else's mind. One has to voluntarily submit one's mind to be cleansed. So I just wanted to read, Sham, can you put it on the screen? Adi Leland, chapter 7, text 72. So here is Lord Chaitanya. We have the painting here of his encounter with Prakashadana, Saraswati, and his disciples. And they wanted to know why he wasn't coming to their meetings to discuss Vedanta. So he said, my Guru Maharaj told me, and this is God himself showing us how to be a proper devotee. He said, my Guru Maharaj said that you're a fool. Don't try to study Vedanta. Just chant Hare Krishna. So in this particular verse, that was the previous verse. In this one, 72, By the way, this is such a potent chapter. As I many times said, I was running the typesetting equipment during that marathon of 17 volumes in 2 months. So in that arrangement, when you put something in the developer, it comes out, the last thing that went in comes out first. So I was actually reading Chaitanya Charitamrita backwards. And this chapter, chapter 7 of the Adi Lila is so potent. Anyway, this is Lord Chaitanya speaking. He says, Murka tumi tomar nahika vedantadikar, Krishna mantra japasara e mantra sar. Now it's a very long purport. I'm just going to read the translation in the first couple of paragraphs, but the points that are being made are so powerful, one must try to assimilate them. So translation, you are a fool, he said. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. So if you find that you can't memorize so many verses, just remember Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, and you're good to go. You're good to go. Of course, you should try to learn other mantras, but if you can just remember that one, you're good to go. So in the purport, this first paragraph is so powerful. Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj comments in this connection, quote, one can become perfectly successful in the mission of his life if he acts exactly according to the words he hears from the mouth of his spiritual master, end of quote. What a powerful sentence. You can become successful in the mission of your life if you follow exactly what your guru tells you to do. This acceptance of the words of the spiritual master is called Shrotavakya, which indicates that the disciple must carry out the spiritual master's instructions without deviation. Don't try to mix and match. This is still going on. When Prabhupada was ill and he had to go back to India, Mukunda Maharaj told me personally because he was there. He was directly involved. So the disciples were wondering, what are we going to do? Prabhupada is going. We know nobody else. How are we going to go on? So they said, go and ask Prabhupada if we can invite one of his godbrothers to come and lead us while he's gone. So Mukunda Maharaj said, I knew in advance this wasn't a good thing. I was trembling. But since they asked me, I went and asked Prabhupada, can we invite one of your godbrothers to run ISKCON while you're gone in? He said, when he said it to Prabhupada, Prabhupada immediately started crying. Prabhupada said, and I quote exactly what Maharaj told me, you do not understand. My spiritual master was not an ordinary person. He saved me. In other words, this is how you should think of me. It's not that anybody can replace me. I go away to recover and you bring somebody else in to replace me while I'm gone. It doesn't work like that. But even today, still people are trying to mix and match. Prabhupada set up his ISKCON mission exactly the way he wants it to be. But still people are asking me, well, but the Gaudiya Math such and such. No, we are a particular branch of the Gaudiya Math. We follow what this branch teaches. Don't try to mix and match what other people do. For instance, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wanted a GBC. He did not want to have somebody appointed as Acharya of his mission. He wanted a governing body. They didn't do it. Prabhupada did it because he knew this is what his Guru Maharaj wanted. So you can't mix and match. If they don't do some things that Bhaktisiddhanta told them to do, what makes you think that anything else they tell you is okay? It may be, it may not be. But we don't go down that road. We just follow exactly what Srila Prabhupada told us to do. And the reason why this came up recently is because I noticed quite a few of our devotees, younger devotees especially, are taking on this bearded look. Prabhupada did not like that. This is the look that Prabhupada himself showed every single day. We have thousands of pictures of Prabhupada giving class. There is not one picture of Prabhupada with a beard. Not one. He showed clearly this is what he wanted. Shaven head. He said even your head, once in a fortnight, which means once every 2 weeks, you should shave your head. What to speak of your face? Prabhupada shaved his face every single day. So don't try this mixing and matching business. Because when I asked one devotee, well, why do you do it? Oh, well, in the Gaudiya Math. But we are a particular branch of the Gaudiya Math. We do what Prabhupada said to do. We have a GBC because he said make a GBC. We dress the way we do because that's what he wanted. Like I said, he told that new person, if you can't even dress like the other devotees, where is there any question of surrender? So, we're not going to belabor the point, but we should try to follow Prabhupada's very, very clear example in everything. no matter what anybody else says. Oh, such and such does it differently. That's all right. They have a right to do what they want, but we have a right to follow what Prabhupada gave us. So, just to finish this first paragraph, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that a disciple must accept the words of his spiritual master as his life and soul. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here confirms this by saying that since his spiritual master ordered him only to chant the holy name of Krishna, he always chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra according to this direction. Krishna Mantra Japa Sada A Mantra Sar. Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhakta. Anyway, the rest of this purport is very important. Please try to read it today. Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 72. So many wonderful instructions in it.